Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Car Wash Magazine Live. I am your host, as always, Matt DeWolf, Editor-in-Chief of Car Wash Magazine. This week, friends, we have a fantastic program for you focused on a topic that is near and dear to all of you, and that is outthinking the competition. Because in this industry right now, there's a ton of competition, there's a ton of growth, and today, friends, we're going to help you out. We're going to get you some great ideas, some ways that you can be thinking differently in your business to help make sure that you're approaching this the right way and to set you up for success. For when that wash comes in down the street, it's probably already there. We're going to get into that in just a few minutes. However, first, this week in car wash. All right, so let's see what we've got going on here this week. What do we want to talk about? Well, the first thing up on our list of things is some movement from OPW. So Warren Day, he's been named VP and GM of the VWS. So that's like alphabet soup, friends. That's Vice President and General Manager of the Vehicle Wash Solutions business over there at OPW. Congratulations to Warren on that move. That's going to be great for them and that organization. So we're looking forward to seeing what happens there. Other movements in the industry, we've got an outside entrant coming in. Dave Hoffman, who is of Dunkin' Donuts and McDonald's pedigree, his background is there. He's going to be taking over as CEO and president of Mammoth Holdings. So if you know Mammoth, you know that Gary Dennis has been at the helm of that operation for a number of years. He ain't going nowhere, friends. He's still there. He's going to focus his energies on some acquisition and some special projects. So super excited for them. That's a big step, and that means big things for Mammoth coming in the future, I'm sure. What else do we want to talk about? Well, it's always fun to talk about things that are more than washing cars. Superstar Car Wash, congratulations for raising more than $26,000 with a recent opening event here in fundraiser. They raised that for a child passenger safety initiative. So that's all around car seats and making sure you're doing that right. So kudos to them. Always about more than washing cars. And then because you can't talk about car washing right now without talking about a new location, Focused Car Wash Solutions just put in some new equipment, at least at Camelot Car Wash. I want to get this picture up for you because this is pretty cool. This is a castle-themed medieval times kind of car wash. You've got a nice light laser-guided touchless on the left there. You've got some self-serve bays on the right, and it looks like just a little a second touchless bay there in the middle there. That's what I can see. All right, so it's a little small on my screen, but it's there. It's there, friends. What else this week in car wash? Well, did you know, you probably did, you might have been there. NRCC show wrapped up this week. NACS is wrapping up tomorrow. That's the convenience show store. Those things are super positive indicators for what we've got coming up here in November for our show, the Car Wash Show in Las Vegas, November 15 through 17. So I'm looking forward to seeing you all there. The question is, are you ready? Are you ready to go? Put your comments down below. Let's see what you've got to say here. It's always interesting to read the comments. Now, we are ready. It's a little more than 5 weeks away. One thing to help you get ready is a promotion, friends, a promotion, because we've got a special promo code. You can see it on the screen now, TCW21. You can enter that at carwashshow.com/register. Here's the deal, though. You got to do that by tomorrow, like end of day tomorrow, October 8th, 5 p.m. That's the cutoff to get entered into this grand prize giveaway from Talk Car Wash. They're going to be giving you some. We're going to be giving you some spending money, so that's fun. Some credit toward your plane, tickets. Obviously, we're upgrading you to the premium pass, and we're going to make sure you have a really great time. Take care of your hotel stay while you're there. Get yourself entered. Register tomorrow. Register today. Just make sure you enter the code, will you? All right. What else is going on? Well, speaking of the Car Wash Show, in case you don't have enough reason to register just by having a promo code where you can win a bunch of fun stuff, in case you weren't on the show last week, let's give you a little tidbit from Eric Wolf, CEO of ICA, about why this particular Car Wash Show may be of interest.
I think a few things stand out for me as we think about what's going to be different in Las Vegas in November. Number one, you talked about premium education a second ago, but I think we're doing more on the floor and available to everybody, regardless of whatever pass they have, than we ever have before. So we've got our pitch theater on the show floor available to everybody. You're going to get a lot of content all throughout show hours there. And then these partner solutions sessions that we're doing as well, available to everybody. So I think in terms of, when you show up at the show, even if you get the basic pass, premium gets you more, but even the basic, you get so much with that ticket this year. Number two, I would say there's so much focus I know right now about industry consolidation. So, are we going to have 3 exhibitors in a few years? I don't think so. But here's what I think the better view of the future and what's happening with car wash. All of this activity, all this consolidation, all the stuff that's making headlines is attracting so many new companies. So whereas before they might not have thought about car wash because they had an outdated view of the industry from maybe an old car wash in their neighborhood, now they're like, oh my gosh, IPOs, private equity groups, stuff's going on. And so we're seeing a flood of new companies come in. So in terms of products and services and technology, I think you're going to see more new at this show than you've ever seen. I mean, at least in my time on the show floor. And the third thing I would say is I keep talking about this 915 number. It'll be 915 days from when we close the show in Nashville to when we open the show in Las Vegas, which is nuts. Think about the number of people, right, that are new to the industry. I mean, there have been people who've been working in the car wash industry for almost a couple of years now who have never been to a show that you and I haven't met, who have tons of great ideas, who want to learn. And so the chance to meet new people, I mean, again, I don't think we'll ever have more new folks at the show than we ever have before.
All right, so that's why Eric Wolf thinks that this show is going to be important. I think it's going to be super fun, super great opportunity for us all to gather, to learn from each other, to share ideas, and to meet a ton of new people who have entered this industry in the last couple of years. So I'll see you there. Guess what? This is the moment in the program where I give you a little Easter egg. I gave it to you last week as well. There is a special phrase that pays that I want you to tell me if you see me at the show when you're there in Las Vegas in November. That is that Plinko is my favorite game and Bob Barker is the bomb. Come find me. Tell me that. I'll give you a prize. And it'll give you a chance to play Plinko. So that's coming. We're going to do that. We're going to have a whole set for you. We're taking this program live to the Car Wash Show, and we're going to broadcast from there. We've got some great panels lined up for you, some great marketing conversations, and some great really grouping and discussion-focused topics from the Talk Car Wash partnership that we're working through. So going to be great things. Going to see you guys there. It's going to be hard to miss it. Walk in, we're going to be right there. So that is what we're doing at the show. And you may see a few jokes when we get there. We're going to be rolling some of those jokes that you've heard on this program, told by all of our lovely children, maybe a few told by me. So in honor of that, here's one for you to kind of get you ready from my daughter, Reese.
What did the tomato say to the other tomato? Let's catch up sometime.
All right, friends, there he is. Hey, now we've got the video to match. That's exciting. So, sometimes these things work out, and that's the beauty of live programming, friends.
That's what strategy is all about, adapting to the unexpected and adjusting. So
yeah, always have a backup plan.
Illustrate that.
Always have a backup plan. Well, hey, I'm super excited for your sessions at the show. Fortunately, I get a premium pass. I'm part of that. I get to see what's going on. Those who maybe haven't purchased that yet, you guys are in for a treat. Let's kick it off with a little discussion around process and why that matters, right? So one of the big things in the car wash industry, everybody's all about process. It lends itself very well to that. But what is it about having a repeatable process and a common language that can really help set a business up for success?
Yeah, I think the process that I'm really interested in is the process by which a company or leaders create a strategy. You find out that competitors open down the street, and suddenly you see your people stopping there instead of to you. And when you get together with your team, I don't know, it's a Monday morning, and you think, okay, what can we do differently? You just if you don't have a process, then the steps kind of like fold in on each other. And so the process that I'm going to introduce is this process of whenever you're making a strategic decision, there are really kind of 5 steps. You want to imagine what's the outcome that I really want? What do I want my car wash or my set of car washes to achieve? Dissect, I know we're going to talk about it a little later, but what areas of the business could we focus on to do something surprising that will be delight customers and will also surprise competition? And then expand, which is generate a bunch of ideas. Very innovative companies, they don't just come up with one idea, they come with lots of ideas. I think it was Ray Kroc, founder of McDonald's, said, my attitude was that competition can try to read to copy my style, but they can't read my mind. So I'll leave them a mile and a half behind. So in your process, giving your team time to expand your options and brainstorm, then analyzing those options, choosing what you're going to do, and then selling those options, the resulting strategy, so that your customers get it, your suppliers get it, your employees get it. So that's one process. IDEAS spells ideas. And I found that to be a really effective process for generating a strategy, either on the fly or in a more structured format, at the end of the year. And each of those, there are certain language tools that you use. And if you use the right language, you introduce the right terms, it changes the way people think. And people who maybe don't know themselves as very innovative, strategic thinkers, if you introduce a term to them, it sort of infects their thinking and changes their thinking, which allows you to start behaving very differently, kind of like, what would Elon Musk do? What would Ray Kroc do? And it's actually not that hard to get people to think differently if you follow the process and use a common language.
Yeah, I think, man, that the common language piece is huge, because I think that's one of the things that can be really cumbersome, right? If you can't understand what the other person's talking about, and if I'm a leader and I'm trying to communicate something with someone and they just don't get it, they can't follow me, man, there's a lot of friction that causes, and that can be a real problem for folks.
Yeah, absolutely. Two concepts that are helpful to put into your strategic brainstorming. One that I really like, I call it two-front battle. And basically says, what business are we really in? Starbucks, a lot of their innovations came from the idea that they're in the business of creating great employment for their people wearing the green aprons rather than the person in front of them. Or Zappos, they talk a lot about, we are not a shoe company, we are a customer service company that happens to sell shoes. So you can introduce that to front and say, what are we really here for? Is it really we're looking to create clean, dry, shiny, or are we really in the business of saving people time, or making our customers feel good about when they're what they're driving in, and then what does that kind of company how does that kind of company behave? And the other one, so that helps generate ideas. And the other term that a lot of companies that go through what we're going to go through, that they really latch onto, is this idea of the fourth option. And the fourth option is simply a metaphor. It says, there's a point at which others stop thinking. When you hear your competitors say, oh, I know this industry, this has happened before, we need to do 1, 2, and 3. And what that means is they've stopped thinking. And if you could just say, okay, we've got those 3 options, what is the fourth option? That's Michael Dell selling computers directly. It's Sam Walton putting stores in rural areas, right? Every great company is built on these kinds of fourth options. So those are kind of 2 language tools, if you will. If you just introduce those 2 into your ideation, you will find that you start outthinking the competition.
That's perfect. I love that concept of thinking of language as a tool. So let's stay in that vein a little bit. Let's think about if I'm in the industry right now, given everything that's going on. I mean, you've got insane growth, money kind of flowing pretty freely everywhere. What should I be focusing on? I mean, obviously language is one great thing. I can focus on that. I can use that tool. But where else should I be focusing some of my energy?
Well, as you say, money's flowing, so there's a lot of consolidation. There's kind of a professionalization, if you will, and of these like larger car wash companies. And one thing that, if you look in other industries, what that almost always leads to is to adoption of new technologies. Because let's say you want to buy some new technology. I don't know what that is. It's some IoT device that connects and talks to the Teslas and automatically guides them through whatever that is. When you've got 1 or 2 or 3 car washes, it's hard to justify that investment. Yeah. But as companies have more, they can then take that investment and spread it over more cars and more customers. And so whether you are at the kind of towards the top of the heap of that consolidation, what you want to start looking at is adopting those technologies. If you're not, then the risk is that others are going to adopt these technologies. And so what you want to start looking at is maybe focusing on non-technology differentiations. Could it be the kinds of people that we hire, what our cultural values are, right? Can we get that real deep customer centricity? Because if they're going to go high tech, we're not going to be able to compete with them going high tech. What we could do is we can do high touch. And so those are two areas to focus on. Every industry starts focusing on the same kinds of things in like retailing. It's all about store location, it's about merchandise mix, and it is about store experience. And if you know that that's what all of your competitors are focusing on, what we want to do is you want to start looking where they're not looking.
Yeah, it's kind of like I don't remember which book I was reading that this was in, but it was the story of all the World War planes that were crashing, right? They were going down, and they were trying to identify what was interesting. Where should they focus their energies to make their planes better? And every plane they got back, they charted all the bullet holes and all that. And it took them a while to figure out that those were the planes that were coming back. Like those were the ones that were okay. It was where the stuff was missing was the problem, and so it was looking where the data wasn't. So I like that connection of like looking where people are not. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, it's a funny example of this. I don't know if it's a true story or not, but there was a manager of a building, and he was worried he's going to lose his job because people were complaining about the elevators being too slow. Yeah. And so they thought about how could we get the elevators to focus on getting the elevators to go quickly, but they came up with a bunch of ideas. None of them would work because these elevators are too slow. They're too old. You couldn't they didn't have a computer in them to change how they're programmed. They didn't have any ideas. So one guy on the team, he said, well, how about if we put mirrors in the lobby? And people thought, what's that going to do? But they put mirrors in the lobby. And what happened? The complaint stopped, right? So focusing on a different part of the problem, in this case, people get to see each other. They get to see themselves. They don't experience the weight. Huh. And that solved the problem for like $200. So focusing where others do not.
Yeah, it turns out new elevators are pretty expensive.
Yes. Mirrors are cheaper.
Yeah. Hey, and of course we're humans. We like to look at each other apparently. So hey, I want to get into. You alluded to it. I want to talk 8 Ps just a little bit because I think you might go deeper into this once we get to the show. But can you give us just a quick rundown? What are the 8 Ps and like high level? Explain it for me.
Yeah. So going back to looking where others don't look, this is like a nice checklist to have you think of different places to look. So it starts with positioning, which is who is our core customer and what is our value proposition to them? Are we delivering really fast? Are we delivering really high quality? Are we delivering really economic? Are we delivering high end, right? What is our value proposition to them? Then our product, not just our core product, but all the ancillary products, like letting people know what your pricing is, giving them information about the last time that they washed their car, all these ancillary products and services. And so that's product. Pricing, we know that the whole industry has shifted towards monthly pricing as opposed to per wash pricing. And we've seen just what that change in pricing has done to the industry. Then you have a promotion, which is marketing and sales, from street to advertisement to print advertising. Then you have placement, which is where do we place our value proposition? Are we on the left side of the road or the right? CVSs are always on the sunny side of the street. Starbucks are always on the side of the street that people go by when they're going to work, right? Thinking about placement. Then, and I think there's a lot of interesting stuff going on in the industry here, is physical experience. What your customer sees, smells, hears, tastes, touches when they go through that. Then you have to operationalize that with processes. What are the processes that we're going to deliver to make sure, put in place to make sure that we're delivering that physical experience and that value proposition? And the last one, I put it last, not because it's the least important, but increasingly it's the most important, your people. Yeah. Who do we hire? How do we organize them? What's their cultural value? So positioning, product, price, place, promotion, processes, physical experience of people.
Kaihan, that was impressive.
I think about it a lot.
I mean, good grief. Talk about a tongue twister. For those of you who didn't catch it, we'll put that in the comments for you so you've got it.
Sure.
And then
and we'll go through them. We'll go through them and ideate on each of them when we're together.
Okay, perfect.
Car
Yeah,
wash.
I think that's going to be a fantastic session. Well, taken from those 8 Ps, is there one or two? Can we get a little insight into maybe one or two we might want to focus on right now?
I mean, well, certainly, certainly people, right? And we know that it's just hard to get staff, right? And so looking really at rethinking how we engage, how we recruit, how we retain, and how we increase productivity of people. There's always usually you focus on the piece because there's a weakness to address. There's an advantage we want to leverage. There's an obvious P given what our goals are, and there's the unexpected P. So I would say people is definitely the issue to address, right? Physical experience, I see a lot of car washes focusing on physical experience. And so you definitely want to do something there, but you got to know that your competition is also, also thinking about it. But I really think that there is, because of the shifts going on in the industry, there's a real opportunity to really think about positioning and really think about what is it you deliver, because your customers, they don't come to you for the function. It's almost like a hierarchy of needs, right? At the bottom level is, I want my car clean and shiny and I want it fast, right? But why do they want that? What is it? A feeling of taking care of my stuff? Is it a feeling of impressing other people? And if it's impressing other people, maybe the higher order need is is being proud, right? So when you start laddering up there, that's where you get real power. Like Apple does this. Well, its competitors were all focused on product, a bigger hard drive and a smaller box for less money. Yeah. Apple was focusing on design, and creating that idea that if I'm an Apple person, I am creative and cool. I'm a designer, right? So laddering up. So I think there's a lot of, because what I do see compared to other industries, the car wash industry is still competing very much at that functional benefit level.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, right now, it's like you have to, you have to be able to do clean, dry, shiny. If you can't do that, you're in the wrong industry. Like, get out, right?
It's table stakes.
Yeah. Yep. But yeah, that physical experience piece, I think we've been talking a lot about as things start to split off, is there going to be, and you talked about this, high touch versus kind of like quick process or high tech. I think you can get a little bit of combination in that in the high touch piece, but this idea of niching down to go, somebody might be, hey, look, there's still going to be need for full service operations. We're going to go there. While you've got a whole other part of the industry that's like express, let's go, let's bang it through, do volume, let's go. I think there's a trap here though, Kaihan. I think there's a trap in terms of like, what if I'm looking too much at what everybody else is doing? How do I solve for that?
Yeah, I mean, one answer is not to look what other people are doing. That's sort of what Jeff Bezos says. They don't even pay attention to the competition. They pay attention to the customer. And what does the customer need? What can we do to create greater customer engagement and delight? Right. I personally think that it's okay to look at the competition if you don't fall into the trap of I've got to do what they're doing. Because then if you do what they're doing, even if you do it really well, if you're best class across the board, you got the best processes, best hiring, best physical experience, best technology, best pricing strategy, the best you can be is like the best competition. You can never differentiate yourself. So a really helpful thing to do is we generate these ideas and then you look at the competition. And the key question is, how long before the competition will copy this? If this works, they're going to start looking at it. They're going to copy it. And the reason that the competitors don't copy, I have these 3 C's. They don't conceive of it. They can't think of it. That's going to last until they drive by it past your car wash. They won't consider it. Like, oh, that's not going to work. Gandhi said, first they ignore you, then they laugh at you, then they fight you, then you win. You want your competition to ignore and laugh at you and say, that's never, ever going to work. But then once they realize it's working, then they can't choose it. It is inconsistent with something that they do because it requires them to change a process that they don't want to change a piece of machinery that they don't want to change the type of people those are the wrong types of people. So you're looking for those entanglements. You could use the 8 Ps again and say, what entanglements would the competition have in copying this strategy if they work? The last one is they can't. Ultimately, hopefully you do it so long, you're so good at it, that they just can't compete with you. But that is a mistake, to look for things that your competitors can't do. Most companies, they won because it was something they wouldn't conceive to do. Google could have bought Yahoo.
Yeah.
Blockbuster could have bought Netflix
Yeah.
really cheaply, right?
Yeah.
Why didn't they do that? Wasn't that they couldn't? It's that they chose not to. So you're looking for those entanglements.
Oh my gosh. Kaihan, you're speaking my language, man. You're giving me lots of acronyms. Like, I love acronyms. I love, like, just tidbits that I can walk away with and write down. Before we give away too much more of all the value, uniqueness that you're going to have at the Car Wash Show, I want to remind everybody that if you want to dive into this and you want to dive deeper, you got to come to the Car Wash Show. It's in Las Vegas, November 15th through 17th. Kaihan's going to be one of our premium speakers. You got to sign up. You got to get the premium pass. And one way to do that is to use the promotion code, only until tomorrow, TCW21. That gets you entered in to win an upgrade and some other great benefits from that. Kaihan, before I let you get back to the business of helping people change their business, what's one thing, if in our industry, or maybe just in business and leadership in general, you can go there too if you want, what's something that I can focus on today that's going to make me better tomorrow?
I would say, and this is what we're going to kind of go through together, is stop trying to think outside of the box. Instead, think inside a different box. Go through each of these P's and say, what are 5 different ways to do pricing? What are 5 different ways to do processing? What are 5 different ways to do physical experience? You do that 8 times 5, you have 40 ideas. There's a much higher chance that you're going to have a 4th option in that list.
That's great. I mean, that is great advice. I mean, you get a higher quantity of higher quality ideas. I love that.
Or they could be lower quality ideas. I would say, but it doesn't matter. When you're ideating, it's okay to have bad ideas. Yeah. Often those bad ideas that almost feel like jokes, they lead you to that next idea. Yeah. That is the breakthrough idea.
Well, Kaihan, I'm going to be in your session, that's for sure. Awesome. So that's going to be super exciting for me. Anybody who wants to join me, you got to do that at the Car Wash Show in Las Vegas. Kaihan, thanks for being on the show today.
Thanks for having me. I look forward to seeing you there.
Hey, if you guys are watching at home and you want to get more great programming like this, you want to get more stories that inspire and educate and help you grow your business, you need to do that at carwashmagazine.com. And as always, when you're out there this week and you're just killing it washing cars and you're thinking about what other people aren't doing, there's just one thing you've got to do, and that is keep it clean. I'm just having a